My name is Jeff Trussell. I'll be talking about the issue of coastal sustainability, as well as the Coastal Sustainability Institute, which, very much like this building, is focused on capturing the transformative impacts of interdisciplinary research. And in particular, the Coastal Sustainability Institute, or as we finally refer to it as CSI, with all apologies to Les Moonves. We are interested in leveraging natural science, social science, engineering, like our good friends in civil environmental engineering, and policymakers to develop innovative solutions that allow us to create cleaner, safer, smarter coastal communities. Why do we need to do this? Why is this a global imperative? Well, whether you're in Hong Kong, Shanghai, or New York City, you can appreciate that humans have an intimate relationship with their coastal ecosystems. In fact, half of the world's population and half of the world's global economic activity takes place on the coastline, and this is only going to increase as we move forward. Populations continue to concentrate on the coast, and of course with that comes associated threats. So there is a real collision between humanity and the natural environment that threatens to undermine global sustainability. So how are we going to deal with this problem? What are some of the challenges that we have to confront, and what are some of the potential solutions? So what I wanted to do today is just give you again a primer on the issue of sustainability and talk about some of these threats. One of these is the threat from storm surge. As we've all learned from events like Katrina and Sandy, storm surge can have a profound impact on coastal communities, not only in terms of economic impact, but also in the safety and well-being of the people living in those coastal communities. And if you project forward with population growth and economic growth, it's estimated by about 2050, over $35 trillion in coastal assets are going to be vulnerable to storm surge. So this isn't a problem that's going to go away. And in fact, it's only going to be compounded by sea level rise. Global fisheries. Many of you probably don't realize that 25% of the world's population relies on the oceans as its primary source of protein. And of course, this number is going to increase. Right now at present, about 85% of the world's fisheries are either fully exploited, overexploited, or commercially extinct. So we have a real issue here in terms of how we're going to feed the world's population, given the impairment that we're imposing on the world's oceans. Climate change, whether you accept the mechanistic basis of what's causing climate change, I really don't care. The bottom line is it's happening. Of course, we're in Massachusetts, so I can say that humans are probably causing it. But you know, a lot of people ask me about this, and I say it doesn't really matter. What matters is that sea level is rising. Things are changing. Forget about mitigation. We need to adapt. And unless we adapt, this is going to become a major, major issue. So these are the various challenges that we're confronted with. What are some of the solutions? And this is what I think is unique about the Coastal Sustainability Institute, in that in the past, humans, when they want to understand nature, the first thing they do is they get as far away from nature as possible. Let's study nature in its undisturbed state. Well, we can't do that. We're in the era of the Anthropocene, where humans are impacting every dimension of life on this planet. Therefore, we need to study life where humans are interacting with the natural environment. A great example of this is the Marine Science Center. This are two researchers from the Marine Science Center in Nahat, Massachusetts. You can see Boston in the background. This is where we need to be doing our work, on the front lines of this collision between humans and their natural environment. We've also branched out beyond the United States, forming global partnerships with Xiamen University in China, the University of Hong Kong. More notably, with the University of Havana in Cuba. President Ayoun led a delegation down to Cuba about a month ago and signed historic agreements that are going to help us work with the nation of Cuba as they seek to develop our economies in a sustainable way so that they don't go the way of other island nations. In achieving economic benefits, but while also preserving the resources that are providing those economic benefits. In order for us to really parameterize the problem of coastal sustainability, we need novel sensing technologies. We need autonomous approaches that are going to allow us to survey natural environments, to figure out, okay, what's going on, where are these dead zones occurring, how is sea temperature rising, et cetera. And what's great about our group is that while we can develop these platforms to sense the environment in terms from a biological perspective, these technologies can also be leveraged for homeland security applications. So there's implications beyond just the sustainability realm. Finally, aquaculture. You know, right now, most of the seafood protein that's generated on this planet is now generated by farms, by fish farms. China has about 75% of this global market. It's projected that within the next 10 years, this will become a $250 billion global market. The United States has only captured about 0.5% of that market. Now, while this may seem like a panacea, in reality, these fish farms create their own challenges. For example, all the nutrients that are used to sustain these fish farms create dead zones or pollution zones that compromise the health of the surrounding ecosystem. So we really need to think intelligently about how we design and implement these fish farms if we're going to have them function for us in a sustainable way. Ecological restoration. Many of you probably don't realize that the cost of Sandy would have been about $600 million more if it weren't for the buffering effects of natural wetlands. Natural wetlands around the planet buffer our coastal communities from storm surge, and it's estimated that for every $1 invested in the restoration of wetlands, you get about $5 to $7 in return with respect to saved assets from storm damage. So clearly, investing in this area as well as these other areas is going to be key to achieving both economic and environmental sustainability moving forward.